Welcome to White Clover Sheep Farm, home of 100% grass-fed White Dorper Sheep. White Dorper Sheep are a hair sheep breed that sheds and does not require shearing. We are located in Rushville in western New York in the Finger Lakes area. You can find us at www.whitecloversheepfarm.com as well as on Facebook. Today is April 13th, 2023, and rotational grazing has started. The grass is not plentiful yet, so the grazing cells are still rather large, 6-7 acres per day. The grazing cells will get increasingly smaller as the grass grows. And if you wonder about the height of the grass, if your county agent told you the grass has to be at least 6 to 8 inches high before you can start, that applies to set stock grazing. It does not apply to rotational grazing at all. My pasture consists mostly of orchard grass, white clover, and red clover. The white clover is mostly New Zealand grazing white clover. The red clover is medium red clover. The orchard grass is the so-called native orchard grass. I'm saying so-called because orchard grass is native to Europe, not to the Americas. However, it volunteered, hence the expression native. My White Dorper sheep lambed in March and early April in the barn. Lambing season is now over. My flock is free of hoof rot or foot rot, a contagious disease with devastating effects. Devastating in an economic sense because sheep affected with hoof rot have pain, they graze less, they grow less, they produce less milk, and they have fewer lambs. I'm selling breeding stock to people who want to raise sheep that don't need to be sheared and don't need to be fed grain. I also sell ram lambs to flock owners that want to beef up their flock because White Dorper sheep are some of the meatiest sheep around, and they get that meaty with forage alone. You see right now mostly orchard grass. It has been, for the most part, not been warm enough yet for the clovers to come up. Clovers need warmer temperatures than cool season grass. I also have a few Kiko goats, mostly for weed control, because these Kiko goats, or goats in general, have a different eating habit. They are browsing more than sheep and like fibrous weeds, more so than sheep. These are my electric nettings, 90 centimeters high, which I think is 35 or 36 inches. post with double spikes, upper wire with copper wire, all other horizontals except of the bottom one with stainless steel. The copper wire with higher conductivity assures that I have full power even at the last netting. These are the posts with a double spike so that you can step them in instead of like a single spiked post. You have to bend over to push it in. For sheep, you want a minimum of 3,000 volts. This right now is 4,000. You don't want much more either. More is not necessarily better. This is my livestock guardian dog, Simon, a Great Pyrenees. I chose a Great Pyrenees on purpose. Great Pyrenees are easy to control and correct for unwanted behavior, and they are also among the guard dog breeds the one that is the least likely to bite people, because I need him to defend the flock against coyotes and stray dogs and not cause me a lawsuit. This is Simon's McMansion, his dog house, and while he's not going in his dog house in weather like this, I need to have it here to satisfy the law. It is also portable, like a good home in Alabama, so that I can move him with the trailer when I move the flock and don't want him in the flock. This is my water source, a 320-gallon tank mounted on a trailer. The troughs are 50-gallon troughs. They have to be low enough so that lambs can reach the water. Higher troughs are not suitable for young sheep and lambs. This is my mix of trace minerals and salt. Among the trace minerals is selenium at 45 ppm. Soils are selenium deficient in my area, and selenium deficiencies can cause all kinds of problems. It also contains copper sulfate at 150 ppm. Yes, you heard right. They have copper in their trace mineral mixture because copper is important for the sheep's central nervous system. Copper deficiencies can be deadly. And since my sheep don't belong in that group of copper sensitive British meat sheep, a certain amount of copper does not cause copper poisoning. However, copper deficiencies can be devastating. I experienced that many years ago, lost many lambs. Copper poisoning happens under stress to the occasional sheep, but is never widespread, at least not in my hair sheep. At the onset of grazing season, I always have a feeder with one round bale sitting in the pasture. It helps me gauging how much pasture is available. Also, what it helps is avoiding diarrhea with lush grass that still lacks fiber. That bale here now is in here for the third day, and about half is perhaps eaten, it's a good indication that the pasture provides enough to eat. However, there still is a need for fiber, and the sheep, and especially the goats, do feed on it still. And last but not least, this is the beauty of the Finger Lakes area in western New York, with an ideal climate to raise sheep.